So they haven't announced an Ororo film yet. I'm waiting. And they better have the right person writing it. They better have it. So I wrote a letter to Marvel, but I gotta get a letter to the real somebody who's really looking at these pitches. So
You wrote
girl,
a letter to Marvel.
I did. I wrote a letter. I think it was like contact@marvel.com. I was like, I'm a writer. And look, I told them, I know you're not the person to make these decisions, but I know you know who the person is. I said, so if you pass forward this to the right person, I will,
You should get the women in comics to sign a petition to be like, look, there's enough of us that you can
yeah.
have us all in the writer's room for Ororo,
Mhm.
even if it's in like sets. Like
Yeah.
you work one set, I'll work another set and shift.
Yeah.
Like
Look,
we can write this
I just want to, be a part of the story. I don't even have to be the writer. I just want to be able to, um, you know, create a story that's meaningful. I listened to the Women in Marvel podcast, and they just, I sent you the one about Mana covering a
Yeah,
bow. I thought that episode was amazing.
it was beautifully
It was
done.
amazing. I really did like it. But when it came to Storm,
Yeah,
it was lacking for me.
yeah,
I mean,
very
they had
much so.
someone who cosplayed Storm. You didn't have you couldn't bring someone on there, a woman on there, because guess what? A woman has written for Storm, but she was not black. Let me just put it that
Yeah.
way. And so it would have been a very meaningful to have a black woman. And but the lady who has, I forgot her name, the one who just wrote the Storm book, she was on there.
Tiffany
The Storm
Jackson.
novel.
Tiffany
What's her
Jackson.
name? You just sent it to me. Hold
I
on.
think it's Tiffany Jackson. I'm looking at the book, like squinting across the
Tiffany
room.
Jackson. Okay.
Yeah.
They had her on there talking about the new book. So I
Yeah, I
that's
think that's why I
that.
also shout out like comic scholars as much as I can get because I'm an academic at heart. And I mentioned Dr. Eve Ewing. I think she's in Illinois, and also
Mhm.
Dr. Kiana Whitted because she helped secure us the Watson Comics collection at the University of South Carolina. And I'm in the comic studies group, and she also created a group not just for faculty and staff, but also for students as well. And so to invigorate this interest in comics, and her big thing is Black representation in comics. Mine is like health and comics, so that's what I view as my contributions to the comic studies group. And I mentioned to you before the Graphic Medicine Society and how I actually want to turn one of my college course books into a graphic novel work. And so
Yes,
I
yes.
think it's just important to, like you said, have women at the table, not just cosplayers, but writers like Aletha and, Eve and other people and Stephanie Williams. But also I shout out as much as often the people that are also on the academic writing part and research part to have some of that canon and historical fact and features that are
Mm.
true to the comics. So people really doing deep dives into comic studies that have these, because, I'm curating all of like the history of kind of health in comics and how those have been represented. And that's what I view and as my contribution to comic studies. And so I think it's just as important for Ororo and other characters to have as many women as possible in the room, but also women that are writers and writing these things, but even women that are working on these comic studies programs at academic institutions of higher learning. I mean, Kiana, I mentioned her a lot. We're definitely going to have her on the pod. She's just a dear friend, and she's a Yale trained full professor of English that has been able to make her entire career over 20 years focus on comic books. And I think that's incredible. I don't know anybody else like her. I mean, there's only one of each of us, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, so definitely we need more women in the room and more women who know the character writing and know the history behind the comics.
Right. And can make them relatable. Lately I feel like Storm is not as relatable as she used to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't want to see that for Storm. And so I feel like because Kevin Feige is over the Marvel, I think he's over Marvel Comics as well now, I believe.
Hmm.
So I just hope that they really do their homework before,
Yeah.
because that's 10 years down the road. I don't think it's happening anytime soon, because we're not even at Avengers 4, 6, was it 5 and 6 yet? But I think after Avengers, I think that we're gonna have an X-Men movie. But obviously the work is being put in now. So I just hope that they pull from the right sources, and they know that it has to be a black woman in the room. They know that. Or we're gonna be very upset. So
Yeah.
which black woman? I don't know yet. So,
Oh, the writer for Wash Day Diaries too. She crossed my mind too. Jamila Rouser. Yeah.
oh, okay. I mean, if they ask Eve Ewing to do it, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. She's actually going to be writing the new title, one of the new X-Men titles this year. I forget which one she's doing, but
Ooh.
she's been proven that she can write and she understands these characters, and I know that she's going to bring the same love and care and attention that she did with Monica to Storm's character too. So we'll see what happens. But girl,
Oh, I just saw she'll be okay. Written by
what you
acclaimed author Ewing and drawn by superstar. Oh, Exceptional X-Men. It's the final flagship X title to launch in the From the Ashes era. Okay. So yeah,
yeah.
Eve is already writing that. So nice, nice.
Captain America Brave New World. So first, have you seen the trailer?
Of course. I'm
All
a
right.
huge Anthony Mackie fan. Okay, been an Anthony Mackie fan for like about all my life, at least 25 years.
Good, good. I mean, I didn't really know who he was until Marvel, until the MCU. I didn't know. I've seen him, but I didn't follow him. I didn't follow his work or anything like that. So I was introduced to him. I was introduced to him in the MCU. So, um, somebody trying to call me. So, what was your initial thought? So, one, I think I just want to say what my thoughts were before you say what your thoughts are, because then I think you'll lead into your thoughts. So I'm not going to talk about the trailer. I'm going to leave that to you first. But my thoughts on the MCU as a whole right now, I feel like with X-Men 97, even though that's not going to be really, I don't think they're going to use that as canon. I think with X-Men 97, I think they are back. And a lot of people jump down my throat when I say that. Like, Marvel didn't go nowhere. I felt it did. After Endgame, we did have some highlights. Like, we did have Wakanda Forever. We had Shang-Chi. We had a few TV series that I really liked. I liked Miss Marvel. I liked Falcons and the Winter Soldiers. I liked what's the one that Samuel L. Jackson did last year? I can't remember the alien one. I love them. I like them, but there has not been a movie since Black Panther and Endgame that has really got me like, oh my gosh, I have to see this again in the theaters. Like, this is so good. It hasn't been a movie like that for me. So, with that being said, how did you feel with the trailer? The trailer of Captain America: Brave New World.
So with the trailer, I'm not gonna really talk too much about Harrison Ford because Harrison Ford is Harrison Ford, and he's the president of the United States. All right. I think for everybody, at least I've been seeing that we all kind of had a similar reaction when he was like, "You might be Captain America, but you're not Steve Rogers," and he was like, "You're right, I'm not," and it's like facts. Like I'm not. I don't need to be Steve Rogers to do my role as Captain America. I also think it's going to be interesting seeing how Captain America, I mean, I guess technically the military service kind of has been a member of the U.S. government, I guess, per se. But I don't think I wonder what other people would say. I never looked at Captain America as an agent of the U.S. government, as weird as it sounds, because the Avengers aren't really either, and neither are other types of superheroes. Like, they're not like a contract getting paid by the government to do government official work. They're making their own independent decisions, either solo or as a team. So this idea of, it's interesting to me that they did it. So I guess I'm kind of answering my own question, because in the trailer, he is like, you know, he's pitching the idea to Sam Wilson, like, yeah, so now you're going to be a member of the United States military. And then Sam Wilson automatically asks, well, how will that, what if there's a situation where we don't agree? Like, how will we resolve that? And of course, they don't answer the question in the trailer because that would be whack. And I was like, that's my immediate response, is like, you're trying to use him now. And we know Sam Wilson, he doesn't have the super soldier serum, you know, thank God for genetics and science, things like that. What he does have is a retrofitted suit from the Dora Milaje. So, you know, it's Wakandian in nature. So I think that's some connections there as well. So this is going to be interesting to see. Like you said, I'm very excited. I'm clearly very excited.
Mm-hmm.
I had to get my exclusive limited edition Funko Pop. Like you said, I made my baby, it looks just like this. And we went to Heroes Con last month. And what's funny is my mom bought the costume a year ago, but nobody could fit it yet. And so lo and behold, Heroes Con rolled around, and I was like, oh, my baby gets to be Sam Wilson. So yes, this is an Amazon exclusive Marvel Year of the Shield Funko Pop. I mean, and honestly, Anthony Mackie reminds me of my daddy. And so I'm like, oh, and my dad is a nerd. He's the first person I watched this stuff with or read comic books with. So I'm just loving that he get to see it. I might take the boys in their pop to go see it. And you made me break this out too.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever cosplayed Captain
Of
America?
course. No, not Captain America. No, but I should. I definitely should.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I have on my husband's old Captain America t-shirt from this is from 2011. So it's super faded. You can't even see the shield barely anymore.
Is your video on your end really good? Because your video on my end is very fuzzy.
Oh no. Let me see.
Are you able to see yours really well?
Yeah, I can see
Maybe
it.
it's just me. I can hear you fine, but the video is not. And I see. And you know I'm gonna edit this into a podcast.
It all.
Yeah, that's a little bit better.
I'm trying to wipe it.
Yeah, that's a lot better. Did you have to, girl? Please tell me you didn't have to just wipe your camera.
I did just wipe it.
It looks better. It looks better. All right.
Probably face moisturizer.
I agree with you. I agree with your reaction. I'm looking forward to it. This is the first film, the first project since Endgame that I'm really excited about. Because before I'm like, oh, okay, it's nice. All right, yeah. Like I'm just now. Yeah, I mean, there've been good projects. Even Echo was a really great project. But I haven't been excited about a movie until this one came out. And I think it obviously, for me, it has to do with the fact that it's a Black-centered movie. And it's going to I feel it's going to tackle a lot of intersections. Like, you know, what happens when a Black man, you know, is serving his country, but his race, you know, is always brought up. You know, and I feel like that question when he says you're no Steve Rogers, I feel that was a very layered question. I think it does have to do with his race, and that was even addressed in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier TV series. Like his race was questioned.
And to me, it's such a parallel between when Black people step into leadership positions. It's like automatically like, oh, well, you're no Bob or whoever was the predecessor, and it's like you're right. And it's like I think historically we've been taught to make sure we acquiesce and kind of fit in, go with the flow. And it's like to see him come right back immediately and be like, you're right, facts. I'm not like I'm Sam Wilson, and I'm gonna be Sam Wilson, and I'm gonna bring, you know, all of me with me into this role. And I think we're doing that now. Many of us Black professionals. And so I'm like, I love to see it. Like you gonna get hoops and you gonna get gold chain, ebony with a Y. Like I'm gonna show up and be me. So when he said that, I was like, ooh.
Right. Yes. You're right. I'm not. And the next scene we saw the Hulk. So I don't know the chain of events there, but I'm looking forward to it. So I also wanted to talk about this because some people are saying they want to boycott it. And I'm like, why do you want to boycott Anthony Mackie? Well, obviously, Anthony Mackie has nothing to do with the script or who's chosen to be in the script. And one of the characters that from the trailer is going to be in the script in the movie is a character named Sabra. So
Oh yeah.
Sabra is a character that appears in the Marvel comics. I'm not familiar with her. This is the first time I actually heard of her. But she is in
I've
the
heard she's
Incredible
like
Hulk.
Israeli.
Mm-hmm. She's an alter. Sabra is the alter ego of the Israeli superheroine Ruth Bat-Saraf. She's a mutant and serves as an agent to the Israeli Secret Service, known as the Mossad. And obviously, hold on, my husband's calling. Obviously, that's problematic because of everything that's going on right now in the Middle East. But then and so when I saw this, when I saw people, some people were wanting to boycott it, I was like, but it's regardless of how this character is incorporated, yeah, regardless of how this character is incorporated, it's still a black led centered film. Um, hello, hello to those who are joining. We're talking about the Brave New World and the controversy surrounding the Brave New World. So, again, Sabra is based off this Israeli character in the comic book. So it can be problematic for some people, and that's a term I'm using very loosely because obviously we know what's going on right now in Gaza. So, what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts about that?
I mean, I feel like my initial take was that people are going to use anything right now to fuel the fire and try to get people to not go and see this film. But it's sad that we have to keep proving time and time again that a black lead will sell, and not just domestically, but internationally. It's like we've clearly broken the records. We have the receipts. Why do we need to keep doing this? And I'm not saying the issue is not important in terms of the war and genocide and things that are going on right now between Israel and Palestine. I just think, especially for me and my husband have this conversation often, especially as academics and me as a scientist, we're trained to always find the bad. We're trained to root out the inequity. What's the root cause? What's the bad things? And I'm like, I'm trying to build my lab differently. I want to focus on joy. Let's focus on Sam Wilson's story. Let's focus on his joy. And we saw a lot of that in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We got to see more of why he was chosen, why Steve Rogers chose him. We got to see more of his family history and some of their struggle. We even got to see, oh my gosh, the powerful scene. I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it yet, but I mean, it's been on Disney, I think, streaming for like.
You can go ahead and talk about it.
But the scene with the black man, when he talks about, he has this connection moment with this older black guy. And I want to say the guy was a veteran.
Isaiah Bradley.
Yeah, and so they had this big connection moment, this black moment on screen between two black, not even just black moment, but two black men, getting to talk about his role in the government and his him being Captain America and what that would mean. And I'm like, fine, like thank you for writing that moment and having them say it, so people don't take this moment lightly. I do think that it's interesting, and it's intentional choice between 2015 and 2017. When this Captain America with Sam Wilson comes out, the comics, I ordered it, but it hasn't arrived yet. But what it says on the front was "Not my Captain America." And I think it's interesting because at the time, this was almost 10 years ago now, but we're kind of in 2024 in an election year again. And we're seeing some of the rhetoric at that time was like, "Not my president," is similar now, still like "Not my president," in elections and electoral college and delegates, all the fun things from my political science background that I try not to talk about, all the trauma. But anyway, so I do think it feels like a red herring. Like, why are we pulling in? I'm not saying it's not important, but it's like, let's really talk about why you want to boycott this film. And is it really that? Is it really you have some connections to this cause and you don't? Because, I mean, there's no, what is the whole saying? There's no ethical consumption under capitalism. Like, it's like we be boycotting everything left and right based on some type of moral or ethical reason. in the system we have. Somebody's being exploited. If there's a billionaire, they're exploiting somebody. So the system definitely isn't working for everybody. And I view the Israeli character writing. I think I've even seen some pieces already that they're trying to refit the character and rewrite her. So we don't even know how the character's going to show up yet. Again, this isn't a Sabra story. It's a Sam Wilson, Captain America, Brave New World story. Let's see how his narrative fits in with him now being maybe a potential agent contractor of the United States government and working with, you know, the president of the United States, who's played by Harrison Ford. It's like, let's see his story be introduced and play out. Like I said, I'm gonna go see it. I might go see it 3 times just for goodwill. So I'm probably gonna go see it multiple times. I probably might cosplay. Who knows how I'm feeling? You know me. I love to put a little makeup on, put a little wig. You know, pull my shield out. They gonna see us in all our glory. Sam Wilson, my cap.
Yes.
That's my cap. Oh,
I
Captain,
know.
my cap.
I was that moment when Steve gave him the shield. That was like one of my favorite moments in that movie, because my first reaction was like, why did he give it to Bucky? But the reason why he didn't give it to Bucky is because Bucky already it was already established who Bucky was. You know, Bucky had come to this kind of full character arc already. Yeah. And then Anthony Mackie, yes, it's comic book accurate that he gets the shield, but that was my question. Even though it's like comic book accurate, I've been so conditioned to question a Black man stepping into this role. I was like, why did he give it to Bucky? So, and I have to be honest, I'm not familiar with the Captain America Falcon storylines. Only the early storylines, because they interwove with some of my Black heroines like Misty Knight and I forget the other one, the black character. But I'm looking forward to it. And like you said, to your point, including Sabra, and they actually have rewritten the backstory of this character to be a Black widow, but she is going to maintain her ethnicity as an Israeli. And I don't see a problem with that. I mean, just because the Israeli government is doing what they're doing in Gaza does not speak to how some Israelis feel about the whole thing. So I don't think I'm okay with it. And the more important question is, are we going to support this Black film? That's the question, because it's a Black centered lead, and I hope people do. I hope people in their just anger, they just have every right to be angry. I hope that they can center, put that aside and support this Black film, so I don't know. I know some people have joined, some people was able to drop off, but if you have any comments or questions about the Brave New World, we're open to asking, answering them, or sharing your thoughts. But that's it for Brave New World. But what else were we gonna talk about?
I think I had mentioned that the Essence film on menstruation and menopause. I know with Tabitha Brown, her daughter Choice Brown, Shirley Ralph, who just got nominated for another Emmy.
I saw that.
Love me some Shirley Ralph. So I think she was involved with the film as well, and I forgot who else, but I want to say it's an Essence film. So I saw the post on Black Women's Health initiative. So I thought that was pretty incredible that we're destigmatizing a lot of these health topics. Here at Ororo, we're about health, culture, and comics. And so whenever I see something like that that's exciting about health, like I said, not just stories about pain, but also talking about our joy as well. And so making these topics not so taboo, and how these moments of biological transition in our lives can also be met with healthier coping skills. And that fact that we're sharing, I think, across generations is crucial, that they included multiple generations in the film. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen it?
No, I didn't realize it was out already.
We need to get to Essence Fest, girl. We gotta take Ororo to Essence Fest.
So I know that's what we're gonna be talking about. I don't know if we're gonna be able to talk about everything today, but we remember we're gonna kind of map out what we want our next year to look like. So the Black Women's Health Imperative announces Me Period, a documentary highlighting critical intergenerational discussions on puberty, menstruation, and health discovery, highlighting conversations between families of all types to include Shirley Ralph and her daughter, and Tabitha Brown and her daughter. And it was inspired by the groundbreaking 1987 documentary, Becoming a Woman, by BWHI founder Bly Avery. So
Oh, nice.
it's directed by Lisa Cunningham, and the executive producer and BWHI president Linda Goler Blount. So it's on now. Oh, it says Me Period won the prestigious Audience Award as Best Feature Documentary at the 2024 Essence Film Festival. It has been accepted to the Black Girls Rock Film Festival and Martha Vineyard's African American Film Festival. So I'm not quite sure if it's out on TV yet. I just think that they are making its rounds in the, looks like the film festival circuit. And maybe once it's all said and done, we'll see it on TV.
Okay.
So that's, I mean, I can't wait to watch it. I'm really loving documentaries right now. I just saw Black Barbie. Have you seen that yet?
No, it's on
Yeah.
Netflix.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix. I can't remember, but it was good. It was really good. I learned a lot about the first, I forgot her name, but the first Black Barbie designer at Mattel.
Oh, is she from South Carolina? I'm trying to remember.
Black Barbie.
I'll post about that. And it's from Shondaland, right? From Shonda Rhimes. She produced it or wrote it or something.
Producers were LaGaria Davis and Aaliyah Williams. I don't think.
Why do I think Shonda Rhimes had something to do with the project for some reason?
It looks, yeah, it does. I see her picture here. She might have produced it.
I don't know why I thought the Black woman behind Barbie was from South Carolina. You know, all the great people from South Carolina, Chadwick Boseman, Eartha Kitt, all the superheroes and people on all the nerdy projects. Me.
That's right, girl. And I am, my family's from the Carolinas, so.
Hey.
Produced by Shondaland, the new documentary highlights the Black women who changed everything. So this Black Barbie documentary explores when Mattel finally decided to incorporate Black dolls into their lines. And what surprised me the most was that it was Black. The Black Barbie wasn't called Barbie at first. It actually took a few. She actually had another name. It took a few years for her to be called Barbie.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it was.
So they had a whole "not my Barbie" moment too, then, huh?
Probably. Her name was Beulah Mae Mitchell, and she grew up in the South. I can't. This is a long article.
You remember the Kenya dolls? I remember the Kenya dolls that we had.
Yeah, I don't think I had. What they called?
Kenya. Oh, you didn't have the Kenya dolls?
Was that the 90s or the 80s?
80s or 90s?
That part was the 90s. Was the 80s? They ain't had no Kenya dolls, and that's when I was playing with Barbies. Remember, I'm older than you, girl, and I forget who. I got that name wrong. Let me tell you the real name. The person who actually made the Black Barbie, creator. Kitty Black Perkins.
Okay.
Kitty Black was the creator of the first Black Barbie, and she is on the documentary. She's still alive.
Oh wow!
Yep, she's still alive. I just knew she was had passed, but no, she's still alive and well, and she's on there. She's the center of the documentary, and she talks about a whole lot of things. And then what I liked about it was that there were other Black celebrities who on there that talked about how having a Black Barbie changed the course of the trajectory of their life.
Wow.
Because they said if I'm holding a Black Barbie with this, with a lab coat on, or who's a teacher, or who's a business owner, or who's this, I can be those things too, and so it really And I remember my first black Barbie. I was the black Barbie, and then my second black Barbie was the Hawaiian Barbie,
Wow.
and she had hair just like mine. She had hair just like mine. I was like, oh, she's my favorite. And I remember I was so mad one day. My next door neighbor loved that Barbie, so and she was like, oh, can I have it? Can I have it? No, you can't have it. And then when I came home from school one day, the Barbie was gone. I said, "Mommy, where's my Hawaiian Barbie?" And she said, "Oh, I'm not. I'm gonna leave her name out. Hello, Dr. Alicia Tosh. I'm gonna leave her name out." But she said, "Oh, so and so took it." I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, she wanted the Barbie, so I gave it to her. You have 20 different Barbies down there. You can play with those." I said, "But that's not Black Barbie.
Oh my gosh.
That's not Black
They're
Barbie."
taking your black Barbie.
Yeah, yeah. So, but I having a black doll did change the way I saw myself. It did. It did. It made me feel better about my dark skin. And my black Barbie had dark skin. Hers was darker than my skin. So I felt beautiful. And even growing up in the South, where you're called, like I was called, I wasn't called a nigger, but I heard the word nigger when my family walked by this white
Wow.
family in
Hard
the mall.
art. Wow.
Hard art. And I didn't care. I didn't care.
Wow.
It didn't affect me because I knew I was pretty, and I had dolls to remind me of how pretty I was. So that's
I mean, one of the most notable science experiments on psychology. Oh, someone said yes. This is why I'm intentional about buying my children dolls that look like them. Yeah, same
that's
thing. I
why.
have 3 boys, and I make sure like their action figures, their books that they read, everything is very diverse. Many of them have female leads as well. So yeah, we have to be very intentional. But one of the most notable studies was in children done over 50 years ago with them playing with the white dolls versus playing with the black dolls, and seeing how the children were already socialized to associate certain characteristics with the black dolls versus the white dolls, like good and pure and happy and well-behaved were characteristics, associated with the white dolls, whereas the black dolls were bad. They said, they had bad skin, bad hair. They believe the doll didn't listen, and that kind of reflects them too. So that means they were taking a message that I'm bad, I don't listen, I'm not well behaved, and I'm ugly, and things like that, and just picking the one that they preferred. So you're right. I'm glad you talked to your mom. Was like, she took my black doll. Like, no, I need
So
that's the one that I value the most.
She probably didn't have one. Yeah, and also that experiment was mentioned in the documentary. So that was part of why before the Black Barbie, there was actually a black doll baby that was really popular in the 70s. And it sold in the Black community. It was very popular. It went nationwide. But then when Mattel stepped into the game, obviously that Black owned company, did not.
I think Nurse Julia had a doll too. Do you remember the TV show Nurse Julia? I want to say it was played by is it Diane Carroll? Nurse Julia.
That was bad. That was before our time.
It was. I think it was in the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Thank you for sharing, Raimi. Aw. Your mom was beautiful. She definitely was. Julia was the show, right? You remember Nurse Julia? I knew somebody would remember. But she has a doll. I've been wanting to get it because it's a nurse, and she was one of the first like Black female, positive leads, obviously besides Nichelle Nichols in like Star Trek. So I gotta find it, girl. We can maybe talk about it on the pod one time. Since it was a nursing show, I just remembered it. I'm glad you mentioned the Black doll because she has a doll.
It's on YouTube. I'm sure it'll be on YouTube.
And speaking of dolls too, Funko Pops and action figures are dolls, because some people try to be sexist, but if your kids are playing with these and they're little boy children, Funko Pops and action figures are dolls. They're dolls.
Yeah. So Miss, this is a really beautiful comment, Mrs. Raimi. I know I mispronounced that name, but it says not dark skinned, but my mom was, and she was always the most beautiful woman to me growing up. Interestingly enough, I always associated dark-skinned people with good skin as a kid. Oh, that is amazing, because I grew up in a time when not grew up in a time, but I grew up around family members who did not think that way. they associated light skin with good and dark skin. I was always trying to hide something. I was a liar. So I had to excel in certain areas of my life so I wouldn't be called those things. Whereas the lighter skinned people in my family, they didn't have to worry about anything. You know, they didn't have to excel in anything. So sometimes growing up around those prejudices, even within our own community, pushes us to be the best, you know, at what we set out to do. And I think that's why I, you know, always challenge myself and always compete against myself when I was younger. I always try to do this, do that. But I'm finally at the age where I'm not doing that no more.